Test 1, 2. Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? This is Michael Buffington. I am the concept art lead in the School of Game Development at the Academy of Art University, and you are back with me for Hella Drawing. So last week, what we did was we drew a character. We just kind of winged it. We ad-lib, we improvised, and we just created something fun and cool. I asked you guys for a lot of feedback, and you guys gave me some really interesting ideas. So we're gonna finish that character up. Maybe I'll add a little color, maybe I'll render it, and who knows, maybe I'll even move on to a new character. But before we do that, I wanted to share something with you guys, and I wanted to show you guys something that I do. Now, I draw digitally on our Wacom Cintiq over here, which is provided to us by Wacom. Super awesome digital painting tablets that you can draw directly on. That's what we use in the industry. But I wanted to show you the drawings that I do at home. Now, I draw a lot. Believe it or not, I draw a lot on paper. Now, why is that important? The reason why that's important is because there's something about this tactile connection between your brain and your hand. When you draw on paper, it really helps expedite your growth process. Now, I know that there are some subtle nuances and some changes and some adjustments that you have to make when you're going from paper to digital, but for the most part, what I've seen is people be able to make that switch no problem. Where I see people having difficulty is the people who draw exclusively digital and don't draw on paper. When they go to try and draw on paper, they're not always able to do so as easily. And I just kind of wanted to show you guys some of the drawings that I'm doing. You can see that. I am just doing tons and tons of sketches. I decided that what I was going to do was do about 500 sketches and then maybe pick the best 100 or so, maybe the best 150, and create a book for you guys that you guys could buy or whatever. And I'm just having fun. I'm just drawing lots and lots of different stuff. Some of it has some story ideas behind it. Some of it doesn't. I'm just really having fun. But the biggest thing that I want to share with you guys is that I am always drawing. Always drawing. And the reason why that's important is because if you want to make a living at drawing, you have to draw like your life depended on it. That's right. You have to make it a lifestyle. It has to become more than a hobby. It has to become something that you do all the time. You need to eat, breathe, and sleep drawing. If you want to get better, you have to take it seriously. So in the same way that you see like professional athletes train for like the Olympics or like the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball, you have to train the same way if you want to be a good artist. So whatever you do, whether that's concept art or 3D or whatever, you need to take it seriously. So I just wanted to share that with you. But for now, we're going to get right back to our drawing. We were drawing our sort of post-apocalyptic character, our warrior character. We're going to go right back to that and finish him up. We got to finish his legs up and his hand and maybe make him a cool staff or something. We were working on giving him a bow. I think we're still going to stick with that idea. And then we're going to drop some flat color in there and see where we get, okay? All right. So let's start a new layer here. Actually, I'm going to start a whole new folder so I can separate week by week what I'm doing. Okay. Now, I was struggling with that hand, and I just said, I'll come back to that next week. But it's next week, so there's no more running from the hand. So I'm going to come right back to it. One of the difficulties about drawing without reference is that when you don't have something quite in your head, like, you know, exactly what the hand looks like holding a staff, it becomes a little tricky trying to get that right. So I'm just kind of relying on my knowledge of anatomy to kind of figure that out. And this is yet another reason why it's so absolutely important to make sure that you don't neglect things that might not seem as fun. I know we want to get to the characters and things like that and draw all the monsters, but you really do need to focus on the fundamentals, learning anatomy, learning you know, where the muscles go and where the bones go, and, you know, learning all these little subtle things about the human body, subtle landmarks and things like that, because that's what's going to make the difference between a good drawing and a bad drawing. When you really understand some of these subtleties about the human body, you can really make it believable. And, you know, let's be honest, when you're drawing from reference, it's always going to be a little bit better than when you have no reference. But, you know, I mean, if you spend enough time drawing the figure, which is what I do, I spend a lot of time drawing the human figure. As a matter of fact, when I was in school, I used to draw about 32 hours a week. And I'm not exaggerating. I set a regimen for myself that I would draw about 32 hours a week just drawing the figure. That doesn't include landscapes or animals or anything like that. That just is the human figure alone. So we're working on this staff here. I want to make the staff not boring. So one of the biggest, so you see I kind of created like a tubular shape here, a cylindrical shape. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're doing something like this is they get the big cylindrical shape down and then they don't do anything else. There's about 3 levels of detail. You got the overall shape, the overall geometric shape. Then you have that second level where you're dropping in, you know, like I'm dropping in some of these rivets. And then you have the third level of detail. And you see what I just did there? Now, it might not seem like much, but these little things add up to make a big difference. This is that third level where I'm creating end caps like so. And just making an object that looks more interesting and believable. Because when you look at things in real life, it's not just you know, simple shapes. Most of the time, there's some sort of design to them. So let me flare this out a little bit. Trying to get this shape. One of the things that I find is when I take a shape like that and I do it slow, it really is hard time getting it accurate. But when I just, you know, quickly go and make a quick line, it actually comes out better. So I try not to belabor certain things. I still don't like how that looks though. But you know what? Here's the beauty. I know I talked about traditional drawing and that's really important too. But when you are drawing digitally, take advantage of the tools, right? So I'm gonna just take that and I'm gonna fix that ellipse and make it a little bit more accurate. Cool. Something about that isn't quite working for me though. Let me wrap that around. Okay. Okay. All right. I don't know. How do I feel about that? I'm still not sure. I'm going to tweak this a little bit more. Because when you have the tools, you might as well use them. If I were doing this traditionally, I wouldn't be able to do anything about it, but cool. So that looks a little bit better. Now let me show you guys a little trick here, okay? So I want to make a straight line. If I just tap, if I hold down shift and I tap the brush and then tap it again, it'll give me a nice straight line. I keep tapping it back and forth, top, bottom, top, bottom. All right, now I'm gonna double that. Okay, I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna copy it, paste it, and then now when you're trying to make a long straight line like that, why would I overdo it? Why would I belabor that to the point where I'm stressing myself out, In real life, you'd probably use some sort of straight edge, a triangle maybe. Well, I'm going to do the same thing here. As a matter of fact, one trick that concept artists use is they take a drawing template, like an ellipse template or something like that you might use in traditional drawing or in industrial design, and they'll actually use that on the Wacom Cintiq. Or I think it's Wacom. If I'm saying it properly, it's Wacom Cintiq. And the reason why is because it's a really good way to get your lines down quickly. And the thing is once you kind of get used to some of the different things, like maybe the fill or whatever, it's really the same thing as drawing on paper for the most part. And that's why using something like an ellipse template actually works in these situations. So I'm just adding in some third level detail, right? Now some people might draw that line and walk away from it, but I'm going to draw a double line to indicate that there's some sort of paneling, right? I'll get back to what's on top of that later. Now, see this tube here? I could leave that just the way it is, but I'm going to make this a little bit more interesting. So he's got like this whole native, motif going on here, right? So why not? Why not give this some character? Okay, so I'm adding just a couple of little embellishments just to make it so that it's not boring, right? We just want to make things that are interesting looking. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so I added a little something to the top part of it there. And how about here? How about we separate that? There we go. And okay. Just trying to break that shape up a little bit. Okay. I don't know about this bow. It could be that I just don't feel like drawing it, but I'm kind of lukewarm on it at the moment. Bayman N. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. I don't know who you are because you're using a handle, so refresh my memory, sir. But thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it. Okay, so we're gonna get into just kind of fleshing it up. I'm sort of lukewarm on this quiver and the arrow, the bow and arrow sort of thing, but we'll see. I'm gonna do the pants, and if I still feel it, I'll come back to it. If not, then I'll change it. But let me just back up and look at what I have here and see what I'm gonna do about that. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. All right, so okay, so we're going to start drawing in. We're going to get some of these folds in here. Now, there's a wonderful class here at the Academy of Art. It's called Clothed Figure Drawing. And I know that sounds like, it doesn't sound like anything special, but you'd be surprised how few schools actually have dedicated clothed figure drawing classes. And they were developed by the founder of the illustration department. Her name is Barbara Bradley, and she was really awesome. And she created these classes and really broke down folds to a science. She actually wrote a book called Drawing People. And she breaks down the 7 different types of folds. And the reason why knowing that kind of stuff is important is because you really understand how folds work in certain situations. And in this case, because I understand how stretch folds and half lock folds and things like that work, I can always put that in a way that kind of feels somewhat believable, and that really helps raise the believability of your drawing, because your biggest job as a concept artist is not to make cool artwork. I mean, obviously that's a plus, but the biggest job of a concept artist is to make believable artwork. So you want to be able to create visual images that help the viewer suspend their disbelief. And so, if you don't create images that are believable, then it's hard for the viewer to it's really hard for the viewer to fall in love with the story, because they're going to be there trying to figure out, why does this look like that? Or why is this off? Or what's wrong with this? So you really want to concentrate on making things that look believable, even if they're fantastical, even if they're something in the future or something from high fantasy. You still want to make it look believable, so that when the viewer sees it, they're not questioning whether these things can exist in reality. They're seeing it, they're going, wow, that looks realistic. Wow, that looks believable. And they're just falling into the story. In other words, they're able to suspend their disbelief. So that's really your chief goal as a concept artist, because you have to remember that a good drawing or a good painting is not always a good design unless it coincides with the story and allows the viewer to be able to fall into the story and suspend their disbelief. So one of the things that helps with that is really especially when you're trying to do something that's leaning a little bit more towards realism, like Last of Us or Tomb Raider, or something like, something of that nature, is you really want to make sure that you have things like folds on point, your anatomy's on point, the way things are moving, proportion, etc., etc. So that's super, super important. All right. Hey, Julian, what's up, buddy? Don't worry about that. You know what? We're getting to know each other right now, and hopefully you can come hang out with me every week, and we can chat in the stream. And who knows? Maybe you'll come here and we'll get to know each other in person. Thank you very much, Julian. I really appreciate that, man. I hope you take it to heart. It's super, super important, for us as concept artists to be able to think, because that's the reason why they don't have fine artists and illustrators as concept artists necessarily. We're a different breed. Not that a fine artist or an illustrator couldn't be a concept artist, but a concept artist is somebody who's paid to think. Right? You have the 4 tools: line, value, shape, and color, and your task with using those in such a way that it helps bring the vision of the game designer or the director to life. And that is super important, and that's why we get paid the big bucks. Thank you very much, Julian, for the kind words. I really appreciate it. I really do like teaching. It's a joy. I love drawing. I love painting, absolutely. But one of the things, one of the reasons why I am an instructor is because I just love mentoring people, and I love sharing my passion for drawing. It's just cool, man. It's very gratifying. It is really cool to see your name come up in the credits of a movie. That's awesome. It's cool to see your name come up, in the credits of a TV show or something like that. But what's really cool is when somebody sends you a message and says, hey, I just got a job at, this super big company XYZ, Riot, Blizzard, whatever, and I just wanted to thank you because, your mentorship and, your patience with me and helping me grow is a big part of the reason why I am where I am today. And man, that kind of stuff, you cannot put a price on that. You just really can't. Hey, what's up, Kanashi? How's it going, buddy? Okay. So any words for somebody who wants to just start drawing? Well, let's see. There's a good slogan by this company called Nike. I don't know if you ever heard it. And it says, just do it. And that is so important. Don't get hung up on, what should I do? What should I draw? If you really love drawing and you're really interested in it, pick up a pencil and start doing it. Because there's, my father used to say, there ain't nothing to it but to do it. Now, if you do it, and you do it consistently over and over again. It might take, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. It might take 10 years. But man, you can make that dream happen, and you can get better and better. And maybe it's just something you just love doing, and that's cool as well. But just keep doing it and don't stop. That's probably the best piece of advice that I can give you. And I always tell people to start with drawing the human figure. And the reason why is because it's probably the most difficult thing to draw. So if you can master drawing the human figure, you could probably draw anything. And, full disclosure, I don't really like drawing environments as much as I like drawing figures. I mean, they're not bad, but, I like drawing them. But here's the thing. If somebody needed me to draw an environment right now, or a monster, or a weapon, or whatever, even though I don't draw those things every day, I would have no problem stepping in and doing that. And the reason why is because I draw the human figure all the time, and that is the most complex thing to draw in the world. I will argue with anybody about that. Again, there's probably people that will disagree. Ask an industrial designer, and they'll say, "Oh no, cars are much more difficult to draw," or ask somebody who draws wildlife and insects, and they might say, "Oh no." But I don't know. I just really think that there's nothing more complex in this world, at least, than the human figure. Baymon, am I saying that right? Says, I believe somebody becomes a talent when he's passionate about something to the point where he can speak about his line of work and its depth to its heart's content, which you do. Oh man, oh come on, oh you are too kind, sir. You are too kind. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. That makes my day, man. Because I really do. I really am passionate about my craft. I wasn't very good when I first started. I grew up in a poor neighborhood. I grew up in a family that was far from rich. Actually, we weren't even middle class. We were poor. I didn't have the luxury of going to special art classes like some of my peers did when they were young. And I felt a little cheated in some ways, like, man, I wish I would have been able to start training when I was, in 6th grade. But I have this very tough, never say die attitude, and that probably came from the streets that I grew up in and the way that I grew up, and having a father as tough as mine was. And Will Smith once said, he said, "You're not going to outrun me on a treadmill." He said, "I will die before you beat me on that treadmill." And I get that. I get where he's coming from, The reason why he's saying that is because he's saying, hey, you might be better than me, you might be stronger than me, you might even be a little smarter than me, but you are not going to outwork me. And you know what? There are a lot of people who when I started, they were so much better than me. It was really, really depressing sometimes, and but I just stayed with it, and I outworked. I found out who the best people were. I asked them, how much do you work? Okay, you draw 2 hours a day? Okay, I'm gonna draw 4. You draw 4 hours a day? Okay, I'm gonna draw 6. And I just made it a point to find out how hard people worked and to just work harder than that. And that's what I did. So I really appreciate that. That means a lot. All right, it looks like these shoes are coming together, huh? Let's throw another wrinkle in there for good measure. Oh, that looks good. That didn't take too long. Okay, we are in gear. Now this pole is still bothering me a little bit. He's got it tilted, so those rings are going to be turning up that way. They're not going to be turning down. I'm trying to figure this out because I'm not using reference. This here is bugging me though. What am I gonna do? Am I still gonna do this? You know that if I have the bow, if I have him holding that bow, it's gonna cover up a lot of this stuff that I'm doing over here. So maybe maybe I'm gonna give him, well, you know what? It's sci-fi, right? Clearly he has a robotic arm. I'm gonna give him a gun. You can't go wrong with the gun. Let's drop another layer in here. All right. Oh, first things first. Let me get back to this. Let me combine these two layers here. Make sure I got this right. Oh, that's on the same layer. How did I do that? Okay. Let's go back to my history because I need to undo that. Okay, let's go back to that merge down just before that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here's my staff here. I'm gonna merge that. That's what I wanted to merge. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna copy that, hitting Command J, and then I'm just gonna spend a little time working this top part out. Let's see. What if I do something like this? Looks like a flashlight on a pole. Witzel, you are too kind. Got to keep me humble. All these nice things that Bayman was saying, so got to keep me humble. Speaking of flashlight, maybe it's just a torch. Yeah? Yeah? What's up, Kairos? How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. We're over here trying to work out what's on this staff here. I mean, that's an option, right? That's an option. Let's go back to my history palette, 'cause I should have did that on another layer. Doop. All right, let's put that on another layer. And maybe this is some kind of gemstone. Oh, that looks kind of cool. Could that be where we're headed? Could it be some sort of staff with a gemstone that gives energy of some sort? Ooh, that actually looks kind of cool. I kind of like that. Thank you very much, Kairos. I appreciate the crystal of ultimate power. I like that. The crystal of ultimate power. So when you're drawing, it's really important that you start acting. Right? How are you gonna get the character to feel right unless you do a little acting? Believe it or not, when we are drawing and we are designing, we're also acting, right? We got to get these things to look believable. So don't be afraid to make voices or faces while you draw, or have a mirror on your desk or something like that. All part of the game, guys. Now, something like that looks cool. That looks cool. But maybe it needs to be a little smaller. Maybe it's too big. So, let's see. What if I make that? Ah, there we go. All right, I like that actually. Now, while I'm at that, let's see. Let's give them. Do I? Thank you, sir. I like to, like I said, I like to act things out when my wife, she thinks I'm crazy, and full disclosure, I kind of am. But the reason why she thinks I'm crazy more than anything is because I do actually sit and make faces and voices while I'm drawing. It's pretty hilarious. If somebody had like a secret, secret audio tape on me while I was drawing, they would be in possession of some great blackmail material, because I do make the silliest voices when I draw. I like to have fun, you know? I mean, hey, what's the point of doing it if you're not gonna have fun? You know what I'm saying? Oh, we're speaking French here? Comment allez-vous? Oui, oui. Au contraire, mon frère. I don't know, what did I just say? Sounded good, right? All right, so let's drop down the opacity on that, and let's take our little crystal gem thing here and drop down the opacity on that, and let's go back to our layer up here, and let's clean this thing up. Thank you, sir. Was it? All right. Then that's right. We'll be good friends, sir. We will be good friends, mon frère. If that's all it takes, I got that covered. Okay, let me get that little piece. Okay, let me get that piece. Let me turn the opacity up just a tiny bit on that so I can see that a little bit better. Ooh, new. I gotta go back to black. Oh, you guys are getting real with the French here. I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna get that ellipse in there nice and right. 3 Michaels. You know, I'll tell you why that. Go play the lottery. Whoever noticed that, go play the lottery. If you have 3 Michaels in one room, that is very impressive. You know, at one time, Michael was the most popular name in the world. This was back in the 70s and 80s, or at least in this country. And then the 90s people started having kids, and they started naming their kids all these unisex names like Taylor and Logan and Keegan and stuff like that. So I guess Michael isn't quite as popular as it used to be, but hey man, it's a great name. Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, I mean, come on. All right, here we're just gonna connect this element. Here we're gonna give it some end caps. Boom, boom, right? Because we don't just want to have one boring cylinder going into there. We want to, jazz it up a little bit. This is the kind of stuff that really makes your artwork look believable. Because even things that are mundane have some design. I mean, for example, look at this remote, this Wacom remote, right? Looks mundane, right? But it's really not. It has some design. Everything that you're going to look at in life, right down to the socks on your feet, to the glasses on your face, is first designed by, guess what? An artist. So the next time somebody tells you that you can't make money with art, you tell them, hey, are you wearing underwear? And if they say, of course I am, in an incredulous way, you say, well, guess what? An artist drew those underwear before you put them on your behind. So don't tell me that I can't make money with art, because I most certainly can. And that, my friends, is the honest to goodness truth. Alrighty. Okay, so we got like a nice little end cap going on here. Let's zoom out, see how that actually looks kind of cool. So, the only thing we're missing is maybe a couple, couple little rivets. See, that makes it look even more interesting. I'm breaking up that space. You always want to try and break up that space. That's right, fellas. Free concept art class. You hang out with me every week, Monday at 3 o'clock. If we can get all the technical stuff right, we will draw and have fun every single week. Unless Christmas is on a Monday, then we'll have to talk. Okay, so we're gonna really kind of get this gem together here. Now that's looking pretty cool. You know what? I'm gonna put this on a separate layer. So let's do that. Let's make sure. Okay. So now I'm just gonna. Here we go. So we're just gonna be trying to add. We're gonna try and add some detail to this gem. Make it look, what's the word? Believable. That's right, Witzel. Everything requires an artist, sir. That's what people don't understand. They think like, their socks and their glasses and their hats or their, these things were all conjured up out of thin air. And it's like, no. Somebody needed to draw that stuff first. So it's really, it's pretty silly when people try to dissuade young people from pursuing art, because it's like, man, if that makes them happy, don't get in their way, encourage them. Because the worst thing to be in life is a frustrated artist. I have a friend who's actually a doctor, and this friend did not want to be a doctor. They became a doctor solely because their parents essentially forced them. They said, that's what you're going to be, and that's that. They came from China. Parents worked very hard. They owned a liquor store. And they said, hey, we're going to put you through school, but you have to go and become, they gave him an option. They said lawyer, doctor, or dentist. So his brother was a doctor, he was a doctor, and his sister was a dentist. Now, and this guy, man, you talk about good. This guy was gifted. He was gifted. But that wasn't an option that was given to him. And he makes a lot of money. He has a nice house. He has a successful practice. And he goes to workshops twice a week, figure drawing workshops, and it's sad because this is what he should have been doing. I mean, this is what makes him happy, and he wishes that he could do it for a living. And so, oh, look at the music got all serious right now when I'm talking about this. It's like a real sad moment, right? But yeah, I mean, you know, that was something that he really wished he would have been able to do. And he says, I wish I would have been stubborn like you and just pursued art because I would be so much happier right now. And he's absolutely right, unfortunately. Money doesn't make the man. Money does not make you happy. And as you know, that I know that sounds super like obvious, like, well, clearly, obviously, but you'd be surprised how many people don't understand that. Bayman, I don't have experience in streaming. Technically, I've experienced in entertainment. I worked in the industry for a very long time as an artist. I am a musician and I do perform on stage. So, I mean, I guess that kind of counts, right? But beyond that, no, not streaming anyway. Although this is very fun and I'm having a very good time doing this, and I plan to do this as long as I can. All right. So I got that. Now I'm really liking that. That looks pretty cool. I like the way that came out. Look at that. Right? Okay, so let's get this gun done. I'm liking this gun idea because if I draw that bow and arrow, it's gonna kind of obscure some of this work that I did in here. And like I said, it's futuristic, so why not? That's the one thing that's really cool about doing this futuristic stuff is you can really get away with a lot of cool stuff that you might not have been able to get away with if you were doing something a little bit more on the nose in terms of time period. So, oh, the other thing I'll mention this again. You want to make sure that you want to make sure that you are always cleaning up your lines and making sure that that you can close them, because if the lines are not closed and clean when you go in to add your flats, it's going to be a nightmare. So I'm going to actually spend a few minutes after I'm done with this next step just going in and adding flats and things like that. I'm sorry, adding some closed lines where I see things are broken. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, man. That's super kind to you. Well, I'm having fun. You know, I think that's the biggest thing. You know, if you're having fun, I think people sense that, and I definitely am. You know why? Because I'm drawing and I'm talking to people. I mean, who gets to do that, right? Drawing and talking to people and just hanging out. Those are the two things I like to do. I love people, which is odd because, you know, a lot of artists are introverts, and I definitely am not an introvert. I'm definitely an extrovert in many ways. I mean, there are times where I do need space to process life and, you know, be alone to grind and to practice my skills, but I do like going out and hanging out with people, man. I mean, that's, you know, when you're in a studio and you're just grinding away with headphones on for hours a day, trying to meet deadlines, you could be in a room full of people and it still feels somewhat isolating, right? But when you're teaching and things like that, it's so fun because you get to meet so many people from all over the world, and I mean, I've learned so much about life just from being an instructor and meeting all these people from all over the world. I mean, it's just awesome. It's really awesome. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. I try to make it lively. I try to keep it fun, you know? Actually, that's how my classes are. You know, and believe it or not, I mean, it doesn't work for everybody. I mean, there are times where there are some people who just cannot stand me, and the reason why is because I'm always on. I mean, I always am having fun. I'm always cracking jokes because I like to keep things light. I mean, art is supposed to be fun. Yeah, it's serious, right? It's serious and serious business, but it really should also be fun because if you really think about it, when you're doing art, you're doing something that a child would do, but you're doing it for a living. You're getting paid. So when you're an artist, when you're a professional artist, really, honestly, the closest thing I could compare it to is getting paid to play like baseball. Like, I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? You know, if I can get paid like good money just to hit a ball around a park, oh, come on, you know? Unfortunately, I can't hit a ball, but I can draw a ball. That's what matters most. Yeah, you know what? It's funny that you say that, Baymon. It does take a lot of skills. It does take a lot of skills to draw and to talk at the same time. Not too many people can do that, and I have developed that skill from literally years and years of lecturing and drawing simultaneously, because I hate my lectures to be boring. I always want them to be interesting and lively. So I do try to keep it, you know, I do try to keep it interesting, and so I think that's probably why I can do that now. Okay, we're gonna. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Esports in the same register. Introvert, I was in that case, but sharing and being lively helps so much. That's right. That's why I'm glad I'm inspiring you, and I'm glad I'm giving you good energy, because that is what I intend to do, right? Just have fun and fire you guys up and get you guys inspired to draw. Okay. Okay, so here's where we're at. I have finished the line drawing for the character. Overall, it's fairly well done. Now, there's a few things that I have to clean up, like a few things that are overlapping, so I want to go in and clean that up. And the next thing I'm going to do is, I mentioned it earlier, I'm going to go all over the drawing, and I'm going to make sure that I have any open or broken lines closed, because what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to add in the flats. That means flat color underneath the line drawing. So I'm going to select it and then fill it. And the reason why that is important is because it's very quick to do. If you use your magic wand tool and you just click, and you have an area that's a very tightly enclosed area, you can just click, select, boom, and fill. Super important. If you don't do that, then what happens is you have to do it by hand, and it takes way long. So who wants to do that? So when you're laying in flats, you got to make sure that your lines are not broken and that they're coherent. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to quickly clean up some things here and then make sure my lines are all solid, and then make a couple other tweaks, and then it's time to start laying down some color. All right. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna, okay. Okay, so all right, so we're gonna take, okay, what's layer 15 here? Okay, so that's on top of everything. So I'm gonna grab everything. I'm going to group that. Let's turn off this under layer here. Okay, I'm gonna copy that layer and then I'm gonna merge it down. Okay, and then here, okay, so wherever that is, I'm going to erase. Oh no, I didn't mean to erase that. Actually, let me copy this group just one more time. So I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna erase, because I don't want that, I want that to look like a solid shape, right? Okay, so you see how now that looks like an opaque piece of fabric? That's what I wanted, that's what I want. All right, so I'm gonna go in there. All right, so now that looks like a nice, solid, opaque piece of fabric, and I'm just checking to see if there's anything else that I need to touch up, but everything looks fairly good. Okay, so I'm gonna double that, and then I'm gonna smash this all down together, and I'm gonna take that and drop it into my previous group, so that's my upper body. And where's our under sketch? So those are our legs right there. You know, I should I should label these things, but I was going, there we go. So I'm gonna get rid of that one. Don't want to get rid of that one. Don't want to get rid of that one, not that one. Where is that other blue layer there? Okay. I'm getting close. I know I am. I'm getting close. Ah, wait, nope, that's not it. Okay. It's got to be around here somewhere. Okay, so it's not these three layers. Ah, there we go. 22. Boom, got it. Okay, so layer 22. All right, so really, honestly, if you're really being smart, you're gonna label these things as you go, so you won't have to do what I just did. But we all got to figure it out at our own pace, right? Okay, so I'm gonna take all of this. I'm gonna throw it into a group. Okay, let's crush that down. Okay, I'm gonna throw this into a group together, and now I'm going to copy this a couple of times and merge down. And oh, wait, I spoke too soon. There's something I have to do real quick. So I wanna, whatever this gun is overlapping with, I wanna get rid of that. So before I actually merge down, I'm gonna go ahead and clean that up. Oh, you know what? I merged that down before I did that. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and just do this by hand. Michael B. I'm a coach, and I spent most of my career treating everything very seriously and in a technical manner. It took me 2 years to realize I would produce my best career results by being more open, flexible, and spread fun from time to time to keep the spark going. Who can remain focused and interested in a boring... You are absolutely right. I mean, look, when I see some of these teachers and they're so boring, it's like, why are you a teacher? Go be an accountant or something like that. Do something where kids are not involved, because if you're not fun, and this is even at the college level, if you're not having fun, I mean, one of the things that people have complained about in the past is that sometimes I play random YouTube videos, at sort of like later on in the day, that have nothing to do with class. And, sometimes I do that just because my classes are so demanding and so tough that I just want people to loosen up and watch something funny, and really that's it, I like to keep things light. I like people to have fun, So you're absolutely right. I mean, that's one of the best things that we can do as teachers and coaches and things like that is just get people to have fun. And the way you do that is loosen up and inspire people. People don't come to school just to learn. They come to school to be inspired. That's a big part of the job, Okay, so now we're together. Man, that's kind of a tangent right there. I'm gonna pull that back right in here, just like that. And then I'm gonna go back in here with this line, and I'm gonna delete that. All right. Now we are cooking. Okay, so now I'm gonna merge everything because I cleaned that up. So I'm gonna grab my group 7, I'm gonna copy it, turn off the first one, and then I'm gonna grab that one, I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna call that clean line. Now I'm gonna start getting serious. I'm gonna start labeling my lines. I'm gonna throw that outside of the group. And this is all my preliminary work, so I'm gonna throw that in a separate group. And then in a group beneath my clean line, I'm going to add a whole nother thing. So let's look at this for a second. So just off a whim, just goofing off, we, oh no, wait, what happened to my fingers? Fingers, where'd you go? Let me find my fingers. Okay, where are my fingers at? Is that where they're at? Okay. So that was a mistake that I made. Here, let me drop my fingers into my group 7. And I'm going to copy them twice. I'm going to merge that down. And I'm going to take that to where my clean line layer is. And I'm gonna merge. Whoops. Okay, so now we got it right. Now he has fingers again. Okay. Now I'll copy that just to be okay. Now let's look at this. Okay. So we've got a nice little headdress here. We've got and somehow I have the sketches still in here. But we have a nice little headdress, and I'm gonna clean that up with a little. We have a little headband that's holding sort of the headdress together. Then we have some nice wild hair filling everything out. Okay. Just trying to clean that up. All right, we're almost there. Okay, so that's good. We got a nice, cool little necklace, got a braid. We got some crazy armor there. A robotic arm, a cool, you know, pole there. Oh, yeah, here we go. I got to clean that up too. There we go. So this is why it's important to take a little look. See, we got some growing protection. All right, now we're in business. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the look-see and just kind of clean everything up. So let's make sure all our lines are clean. Yeah, see, I'm connecting that. Let's zoom in to do that. So, yeah, connecting that. Uh-huh. Okay. Alrighty, we're really pulling this together nicely. Okay. And is that a broken line? Oh, it could be. So let's just clean that up. Clean that up. Clean that up. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm just kind of moving all over this thing, looking for some broken lines. I don't know if that's one, but you know what? Thank you very much. I love this skull too. I thought it was a nice touch. I had put something else there, and somebody had said it was looking rather phallic, so I decided to remove it and put a skull instead. That way there's no debate about what's going on here. This guy is a warrior. And yeah, you're absolutely right. There's got to be a balance between joking and and being serious. You have to know when to turn it on and turn it off, and your students have to know when you're turning it on and turning it off. So it's real tricky to find that balance, but it's possible. Okay, so this is looking really good. I'm feeling cool. I'm feeling comfortable with this. I want to make his hair. Do I want to make his hair come up a little bit more, or is that good? We'll figure it out. Okay, so now I'm going to. So I'm just gonna merge that down, and we're gonna go in this group 9 that I have, and we're gonna start laying in flats. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out. I did get rid of the bow. You know why? Because as I was looking at it, I was seeing that it was going to obscure some really cool things that I was doing over here, and I was like, So it was tough, but I had to do it. I had to make that tough choice. I'm sorry. I will make it up to you. I promise. All right. So let's get in there and let's get this skin in here. Now I'm going to pull up my magic wand. I'm going to show you guys how I do my flat. So I'm going to pull up the magic wand tool, and I'm just going to go into the, actually I'm going to go into the line drawing area. Okay. And I'm gonna show you. Oh, this one's gonna be a little tricky because there is so much there. Okay, so you guys are gonna see how I do this. Okay. I'm moving right along. Okay, grabbing most of the skin. I do have some fingers exposed, so I'm gonna grab those fingers too. Keep this thing moving. Okay, there's a couple of spots that I'm missing. This is all gonna make sense in just a second. So, and then I'm gonna come back and do some cleanup as well, but bear with me. Now this mess in here, I'm not even gonna bother, but I'm just gonna go in and just grab what I can. Okay, now let me show you guys a little trick, okay? Hello, Gren the Ninja, how are you doing? Nice to have you here with us. Okay, so, I'm gonna go, I've selected this, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I am going to, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to save the selection. Actually, no. That's not the first thing I'm gonna do. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to go select, modify, expand. Now, I expanded by 2 pixels, and I'm gonna tell you why. One of the reasons why I do this is because when I go in there with the magic wand tool, it doesn't go under the line. It'll go like, there'll be here's the line, and there'll be like a pixel space in between the selection and the line. And that's not what you want, because you want, when you drop in that fill, you want that to go under the line, because otherwise you'll have like this little 1 pixel gap between the fill and the line. So what I do is I hit select, modify, expand, and I expand it by 2 pixels. So not only does it go up to the line, but it goes underneath the line as well. And that should fill in a lot of the things that you see are not filled in at the moment by the selection, and it'll make it really easy. And then I'll just kind of repeat that process before I go in and actually drop in some serious color. So let's go back to it. So I'm gonna hit expand by 2 pixels, boom. And you see how much it cleaned up that selection, okay? So I'm gonna hit save selection, and I'm just gonna call that warrior skin, okay? And I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna drop in skin, and let's just pick a color. And we're gonna hit Shift F5 because that brings up my fill palette. I'm gonna go from white to foreground color. And I'm gonna hit OK, and then boom, just like that, it fills my selection. Now, you see there's a bunch of little areas that it didn't get, and that's because this is a pretty complex drawing in terms of line work. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to drop that selection. And I'm just going to manually fill in what was unfilled. Also, you see in the face, I think when I was initially laying in the face, I had sort of a gray line, and then I think I switched over to black at some point early on in the process. So the way that I fixed that is really easy. I'll show you guys in just a second. But you can see I'm just sort of manually filling in the blanks, if you will. Okay. And even if this is not the exact color that you want, doesn't matter, because again, the beauty about coloring digitally is that, and I will say this, I paint and color almost exclusively digitally because it's just too fast. Drawing's not the same. unfortunately, but this is. Okay, so, if I don't like that color, I can go in and I can change that. I can pull up like, um, um, my color balance palette, or I can pull up my hue saturation palette, and we can move it. See what he looks like with red skin, purple. How about we give him purple skin? Oh, it's Avatar. So I mean, there's so many different things that you can do, but I do like that reddish tint. So actually, one thing I'm gonna do with the line is I'm gonna lock that layer, right? And when I lock that layer, what it does is whatever I do to this layer is only gonna affect what's on it. So if you look at my brush, you notice that I'm going all over the canvas, but it's only coloring the line. So I'm gonna hit Command Z on that. What I'm gonna do with that is I'm gonna hit Shift F5, I'm gonna hit black, and then that's gonna change the color of the initial line work that I had laid in. So now that's black, and I don't have to worry about that competing with, or that being gray and the rest being black. So I'm gonna hit Shift Command Z, go back to that. Actually, we're gonna copy that, and I'm gonna call this clean line fixed. Okay, so we got our skin down, and the next thing we want to get down is maybe the hair. So I'm gonna bring up my magic wand tool, select, 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 select. Two, three, four, five, six. Okay, so I think that's pretty much all the hair. I'll go in and touch that up later in the eyebrows, but for now, we'll just leave it like that. We'll go again, we'll go modify, expand, 2 pixels. We'll save that selection as hair. And we'll drop another layer here, we'll call it hair. And then we will fill that with the foreground color, and boom. Now I'm probably gonna knock that back a little bit. Maybe I need to make that not quite as dark. So let's see. Let's go to maybe we'll go to a grayish color. Shift F5. Whoops. Let's lock that layer. Shift F5. Boom. Okay, so that's a little bit better. Now I'm gonna unlock that layer. Go back to my brush here. That's not right. Select that, okay. Now, how does that keep jumping back to? Okay, so here we got it all figured out now. Okay, we are just in here dropping in some color, having a little fun. Boom, 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 color, color, color. La-di-dee, la-da-da. We're gonna get that eyebrow in there. Okay, so we're styling at the moment. I'm gonna get that headdress in, and we're gonna call it headdress 1 because there's gonna be 2 different colors here. And actually, I think I'm gonna be a little lazy. Actually, what if I just... Do I want to make it a solid color? Okay. Oh, I did forget something, but I'll get back to that. Let me make this. He's got a gauge in his ear here. Let me go back to my skin layer, and I'm going to alt-click to select that skin. Boom, boom, boom. Drop in that. There we go. Now we are in business. Do you like the red? Is it, or should I add maybe another color like blue? That actually looks kind of funky. Huh? What do you think? I kind of like that because it's probably going to be the most colorful thing on his whole body, which is going to bring the eyes right up to the head. So that's actually pretty cool. I'm kind of okay with that. I don't like that though. Let's say headdress 2. Oops, spelled that wrong, but you know what? Actually, I spelled the other one wrong too, but that's why I'm an artist. All right, so we're here and we are moving right along. All right. Now I can change that color really easy. Like if I'm not sure about that, I can always easily copy that and I can go in and just hue saturation and just play with it until I find something that really tickles my fancy. That does kind of look cool, huh? A little pink, red. Turquoise looks cool, right? What if we go towards that pinkish color? Come on, guys, give me some feedback. What color looks best? Okay, here's what I'm deciding between. Plus 125 at that pinkish color or negative 29 at this kind of turquoise color. What do you guys think? Thoughts? I'm gonna leave it like this for now. Okay, and now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go fill in that headdress some more. We're gonna say headdress 3. And we're gonna go back up to our clean line, and I'm gonna select, select, select. Select, 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 select. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is what I did before, and that is I'm going to go to modify, expand by 2 pixels, boom, boom. I'm going to save that selection as headdress 3, and now I'm going to pick a color. And pick a color, and I'm going to all right. Now I'm going to go back in and do some cleanup. Atlantis. All right, that's awesome. Right on, man. That's actually one of my favorite Disney movies because it's not lame. It's like different. The character design was different. The female protagonist was different. Super cool. Okay. So I'm going to desaturate that a bit. Hey, all right, we're styling now. Here we go. Looks like a peacock, huh? I think that's a good thing. Okay. Headdress is rocking. We're going to call this layer face paint. Now we're going to call this clothing. All right. So we got to think about some clothing now. Now this is sort of a post-apocalyptic jungle guy, so he's not going to have bright colors on, other than his headdress. So let's keep his colors a little muted. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to color all these wrap things that he has around him. So let's go back to our clean line layer. Okay, I'm just checking that and see if I want to color anything else similar to that. I think not. I think that's good. Okay, so we're going to selection, modify, expand, boom, 2 pixels. And we're going to go down to our clothing and we're going to drop in the foreground color and voila. Here it is. Now we're gonna take our brush, we're gonna clean that up. Oh yeah. Oh, we're styling. It's coming together now, baby. Okay. The next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna look at some of this other stuff. Now again, I want to keep these colors somewhat muted, so let's go back to our line. How about we go up here to the shoulder? Okay, and should those be the same color as anything else? Yeah, sure, why not? Let's have all the metal kind of be a similar color, right? Okay. All right, so I'm going to modify that. Modify, expand 2 pixels, boom, boom, boom. We're gonna save this selection as, let's say, metal 1, we'll call it. And then we're gonna drop down to, we're gonna call this cloth 1, and then we're gonna go to metal 1. And we're gonna just hit Shift F5, fill, boom. Now we're in business. Boom, boom, and boom. Okay, we're gonna clean that up a little bit. Now I could add like a secondary color if I wanted to, but for now. And again, if you're wondering why the choices are so muted, this is a technical choice. And the reason why is because I want to keep most of the attention on the face, and that's why I gave him a colorful headdress without much in terms of strong saturated colors anywhere else. So, before we continue, I'm going to save, because we've made a lot of progress. I'm going to call this 12/9/2019. Okay. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to, color is everything, right? Choosing colors at work is so important, and it's really make or break when it comes to your work. People don't realize that, and so they just kind of drop in color randomly, and they don't understand why their stuff is not working, and it's because it takes a lot of thought to get color right. It's not something that just sort of happens. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing, and we're going to select, modify, expand 2 pixels, boom, boom. All right, we're gonna save that selection and call that Satchel. I don't know if that's how you spell Satchel, but that's how you're gonna spell it today. And we're gonna name that Satchel here, and we're gonna pick a nice brown color. Well, that's odd. That's not working to. Here we go. Boom. Okay, so we got a nice brown color. Let's desaturate that just a little bit. It's a little saturated, so let's just bring that down in terms of the saturation. We don't want that too high. Okay. How about those straps that are going across his chest? I'm gonna have that be kind of a brown leathery. I'm gonna call that straps and belts. And we're gonna take our magic wand tool. We're gonna go back up to our line drawing. Whoops. Okay, we're in business. We're gonna go select, modify, expand. How many pixels? 2 pixels. And then we are going to save that selection as straps and belt. And then we're gonna go to our straps and belt layer, Shift F5, boom. There you go. It's all coming together. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Oh, we gotta let's go back to the skin real quick, and let's give our guy here some nipples, nipples. Right? He needs nipples. We all do. Okay. Now I'm going to actually tweak the color of that bottom lip. I'm gonna make it like a pinkish kind of color. Let's make that a little bit. Okay, and you know what else we're gonna do? I'm gonna add a white in the eyes. Control save. Okay, now let's go up here to the skeleton. Let's call that necklace. Go back up to our clean line. I'm kind of thinking that I want to make the necklace itself a different color than the skeleton. So I'm gonna give that a shot. Okay. Okay, let's go select, modify, expand, 2 pixels, boom. And Let's hit Shift F5. How do I feel about that? I guess that's okay. It's a little bit too close to the hair though, so I gotta bring that. Let's try it blue, see what happens. That doesn't look quite right. How about a dark gray? Okay, all right, that works. That works. I dig that. Kind of like a greenish grayish. Okay, now we got to do the skull. Okay, we're going to expand that 2 pixels. And we're going to pick a nice, good color for a skull. That's going to be somewhere, I would say, around there. Let's go Shift F. Oops, I need to do this on the skull layer. And we're going to hit Shift F5 and we're going to drop that. And of course, we need to darken up. We need to darken up those sockets to really make it look kind of intimidating. Whoever this was had a very small head and a bad dentist. Oh, I see a little spot in there where the skin should be, so I'm going to go in there. Boom, boom, boom. Fix that. Okay, we're good. We are styling right now. Maroon. Maroon. What color were we going to do maroon? Oh, is it already 5 o'clock? Hold on. Wait a minute. Wow, it is 5 o'clock. It is 5 o'clock, guys. Well, let's just do a little backtrack here. So you guys can see it's all coming together. Almost fully painted. We started with our line work not being quite finished. And we went ahead and finished that. We tightened it up. We cleaned up all the holes. I turned the bow into a gun. Gave him a cool little staff with a nice gem that is gonna glow. That's gonna glow, okay? And then after that, I began to add some color. So yeah, I mean, that's how it goes, guys. I mean, you really just got to take it one step at a time. So we took our drawing, I went and I finished the line work, I cleaned it up, I made sure I didn't have any broken lines or any incoherent lines so that when I made my selections, I can get a cleaner selection and go in and drop in. Now, because it was a little bit more realistic, what that does is it causes it to be a little bit more difficult to get a clean selection. If I were doing a more animated style where the shapes were cleaner, the interior shapes, it would be a lot easier to just drop and fill. And we'll do something like that in the future. But for now, you see something very realistic and very, with a lot of stuff happening, and so that's why it was so complex. So we're dropping in color. When we come back next week, I will finish dropping in the color, and who knows, maybe we'll do a little rendering as well, or maybe I'll go on to another sketch, who knows. But whatever I do, I'm gonna be doing hella drawing and hella art because I love art, I'm having fun, and I hope you are too. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in, for everybody who tuned in. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the kind words, all the love. I hope you guys tune in again. Tell your friends about it because we're going to make this something consistent and fun. And thank you very much to Wacom for providing us this wonderful Cintiq, and for always supporting us and for supporting artists in everything that they do. So thank you very much, Wacom, and thank you guys. Take care.